You will have to turn on the mic.
We speak with one voice for every single child. Many may not know that the PTA has advocated for and helped enact changes like creation of kindergarten classrooms, child labor laws, public health service, hot and healthy lunch programs, and most recently, the hands-free law that is in the state of Missouri. Tonight's forum is an important opportunity for you, the voters, to hear directly from the candidates running for the Lee Summit Board of Education. The individuals elected of these roles will make decisions that impact our schools, our students, and our community. So please be informed and have active participation during this time tonight. So we thank you for being here and your commitment to our students' future. I am Lorenzo Harrison, the PTA Council President. I do have our Vice President here, Melanie, who will be getting ready to take us further in this, but we do have our treasurer here, Ashley, from Pleasant Lee Middle School, right? Elementary, both schools. We are fruitful and multiplying in PTA. And then we have our other vice president, and she is in the room. Rebecca Hebels, secretary, is here as well. So we're glad to have everybody here. So, all right, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Thanks, Lorenzo. And thank you all for joining us tonight. This is our council PTA board. So the PTA Council for Lee Summit exists to support individual PTA units throughout Lee Summit. So our organization exists to provide help, support, guidance, and we receive a lot of help from others around the state. We have state PTA support as well with regional directors, and we're very lucky that the Missouri State President of the PTA, Christine Kent, lives nearby and often supports us as we have questions. So thank you all for being here. These are the things that I'm involved in with PTA and PTSA. If you're not currently aware, you can be a member of a PTA. You can be a member of more than one. You can also be a member and you do not have to have a student in a school. So if that's something or a message you have not heard before, I would encourage you to reach out and join a PTA or a PTSA. A huge thanks to everyone at MIC and the Lee Summit R7 District Tech. Lots of people were really helpful in making this night happen. And for everybody that's in a volunteer role, did you know that everyone in the PTA is a volunteer? For everyone that's in a volunteer role that volunteers to show up, to run events, to help lead, to run programs, I would like to thank you, and I mean that sincerely. Your work is very important, and we see you. I would really like to highlight something exciting that started last year. This is from the work of our local PTSAs, which is Parent Teacher Student Association. We're hosting a job fair. It will be right back here in this room. And we did it for the first time last year. The organizers that organized the job fair had a huge success and turnout. And this year we expect the same. We are still looking for businesses that hire students. We're looking for businesses specifically that'll need student help ages 15, 16, 17, 18. So if you know someone, if you're that person, we'd encourage you to reach out and we can connect you with those organizers. But the job fair is coming up in less than a month. And I know we had a lot of success stories. We had people reach out and share that their student has had a job this past year, thanks that they got at this job fair. So thank you to everyone that is organizing that. And if you're interested, please find me or someone else with the name tag on tonight and we'll make sure and connect you. All right, Lorenzo covered this, but we are live streaming. There'll be a recording too to play back later. Have I asked you to join the PTA unit yet? We would definitely love to have your help. There's ways to get involved. People often say like, it seems to be the same people doing the same things. And I can see that, but a lot of times it takes somebody saying like, hey, I can help with this, or here's the skill that I have that I can bring to the table. Whether you know how to send emails, make social media graphics, whatever it is you know how to do, there's something for you to get involved in. So be sure and ask or reach out to someone. We'd be happy to welcome you in. For tonight's forum, we do have a pretty short time limit. And so to get as many questions as possible, we will do 1 minute, 30-second intros and then 1 minute answers. And to keep things moving, we just ask that there's no applause after each question. That will take away too many questions. So if you do go over the time limit, I will cut you off. If you watched last year's, I do not have any problem telling you to stop talking. So you've been warned. I guess there's a couple more people to introduce and thank. I'd like to introduce or thank Joe Strauss. He's helping us with our live stream tonight. DJ Joe to the max. He's in the back. He's amazing. If you need something professional done in production, you should definitely talk to Joe about that. And of course, our candidates, and they are listed and seating in the order they appear on the ballot. So Jennifer Foley, Leon Weatherby, Michelle Dawson, and Nikki Nickens. Thank you all for your time and for being here tonight. All right, are we ready to get started? This is quite efficient. We may have more time for more questions, Lorenzo. I know. Okay. So I have a little timers on here, so we'll see how we do, but we'll go ahead and kick it off. You guys each have your own mic. So Jennifer, you'll be up first with your 1 minute, 30-second intro. And you guys can just, you do have to turn on your mics though.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? I should stand, is that what I heard?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Foley. I am running for re-election for Lee Summit R7 Board of Education. This is my third year. Since being on the board, we have made incredible progress in a lot of fantastic areas. We have made dramatic steps in literacy, something that I'm very proud of. When I first ran for the Board of Education 3 years ago, I was approached by the parents of struggling readers who pointed out that we didn't have structured literacy as a resource for our struggling readers. And so anyone with dyslexia was not able to get the services they needed. If they wanted to be able to learn how to read successfully, they would have to seek outside tutoring or they would have to go to private school, both of which created an economic barrier to many students. Since being on the board and really championing this, we have partnered with the parents of struggling readers to bring U-Fly phonics into all of our K-2 classrooms. Our educators have been receiving letters training. We have put a FAQ on our website, so any parent who experiences a child with a struggling reader can know how to access resources. And then also we have hired a 504 coordinator that specializes in dyslexia. Beyond that, I am the parent of a fourth grader. I am a member of the Woodland Elementary PTA, and I have focused on not only improving literacy, but also.
It goes really fast, so I know it's asking for a lot in the 1 minute 30.
Hello, I'm Leon Weatherby. I recently moved to Lee Summit about 6 years ago to be closer to my corporate job. I chose Lee Summit because it has an amazing school district, and I have not regretted it since. I had one daughter that graduated from Lee Summit West. She was chosen to be in the Grow Your Own program, is attending Longview Community College, getting an education degree, and hopefully becoming a teacher in this district. I have another daughter who's currently attending Lee Summit West as a freshman, and then my youngest daughter is attending Summit Point Elementary. I'm a member of the Summit Point Elementary PTA as well. I value public education. I come from a below poverty household. I attended a Title I school. Public education afforded me the ability to make a great life for me and my family and provide the opportunities for my children that I was never provided. And so I want to give back to the public education system. I value all students, and I want to see all students exceed to their fullest potential and provide them all the resources they need to exceed to their fullest potential. And that's why I'm running on a platform of supporting our teachers. And supporting our teachers doesn't mean just giving them the pay raises that they do need, but it also means giving them the resources in the classroom and the support they need to keep a behavioral control in the classroom to not allow distractions. And so that's kind of an overview of what I'm bringing in my campaign, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to thank the PTA Council for inviting us. I am also a member of the PTSA at Bernard Campbell Middle School. I have 2 students there, and I'm an active volunteer at that school and for my kids and the other kids at Bernard Campbell Middle School. And I'm running because I'm committed to public education and committed to every student, preparing every student for success in life, which is the mission of the district and should be the mission for the school board. So so my background is that I have experience in project management and operations project management. And I was selected to attend the LSR 7 Parent Academy in the fall. And from that, I was able to connect the dots and learn how the district operates versus how a nonprofit operates, which is where I got my operations experience. And I think that from that, I am well qualified to be able to take on this governing role in the district. So I do it for the students, for each student, so that their needs are met and so that they can succeed and be prepared for life. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nikki Nickens. I would also like to thank the PTA for hosting this and thank you for being here tonight. This is a really awesome turnout, a little bit intimidating, actually. There's a lot of you out there, so thank you very much. It's
Hey,
great to
Nikki,
see so many.
a little closer so I can hear you. Is that better?
Can you hear me now? Okay. It's great to see so many people that want the best for our schools. My background is I've been in Lee Summit for 20 years. 20 years ago, when my husband and I were looking for a house in the area, we needed something between Warrensburg and Kansas City, and we were fortunate enough to have friends in the area say, you want Lee Summit, it has incredible schools. And we agree. We've had 4 kids go through and graduate from Lee Summit schools, all the way from elementary on up. We've been very happy with our experiences. My professional background is I have a degree in psychology and child development, a PhD in educational psychology, which is the study of teaching and learning. And I've worked in teacher education for 26 years with a lot of our graduates actually working in the Lee Summit district. I love running into Mules and Jennies around here. And my motivation for running for school board is that I really love public education. It's one of the few things that serves so many well. And I hope to support every child with every opportunity that Lee Summit offers to empower students and teachers to continue academic excellence and to support public schools.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna get started. We have about 18 questions, and we're gonna try and keep to it. So, again, we'll take turns on who answers first. So this question, the Board of Education has 3 priorities. How would you rank them? And do you agree with all 3 of these priorities? Jennifer, you're the first to answer.
Personally, I don't believe that they were intended to be ranked. These are 3 priorities that should all work together. But the main focus on the priorities is on academics, on the safety of our students and belonging and involvement of our both students and staff, and then also the care of our facilities. All 3 of those equally play an important part in providing a strong education for our students.
Go ahead, you're up.
Okay, I agree with Jennifer in that sense. I look at those priorities of, growing the academic achievement of all the students, the providing a safe and secure environment with the inclusion and the acceptance of all students and staff in the district, as well as maintaining world-class facilities as a 3-legged table where you need all 3 in order to provide that world-class education that we want to provide our students. So it'd be hard to rank those because a student can't achieve their full performance and academic achievement if they're not safe and secure. And if they're not safe and if they don't have the proper facilities, they can't be safe and secure. So it's interdependent relationships. Thank you.
I would say that if we had to rank them, I would say that the maintaining a safe environment where students can be engaged and feel that they belong, that one has to, I think, wrap around the other 2, because academic achievement is not going to be, we're not going to succeed at academic achievement without maintaining that environment. If a student doesn't feel safe, if a student doesn't feel like they belong, they're not going to be able to focus on their academics. And the world-class facilities, absolutely, we need those. But once again, if a student isn't learning and isn't achieving, then the facilities don't matter anymore after that. So all 3 are important, but I think that's how I rank them.
I also think that all 3 priorities are really neck and neck. All 3 are very crucial in different ways. I think that if you ask parents, the first thing that comes to mind is academic excellence. That's what they look for in school. I think we often assume safety, although that these days is not something you should assume. It's a very important priority for the district. But I think that everything does come back to academics. As an educational psychologist, I can tell you that of all the things that the field looks at, everything links back to learning. Everything links back to a child's ability to learn and be successful in school. And that includes a safe environment, both physically, psychologically safe environment for all of our kids, as well as providing great facilities. I think the first 2 probably are going to outrank the last. If there's something that would have to get less attention, it would be facilities. But I think we're super fortunate to have awesome ones.
Thank you all. All right, question 2. This one, Leon, you'll be the first to answer. How have you been involved with the Lee Summit R7 school district in the past 3 years? Can you provide examples of specific contributions or interactions you've had within the schools? Additionally, what organizations have you volunteered recently?
Yeah, so over the past 3 years, I've joined the Summit Point Elementary. I've attended a pancake breakfast for the robotics. And I've worked with my daughter on different class projects. I've recently become more involved in the school district after the proposed landfill that was going to go in across the street from my daughter's elementary school. And I took to doing some advocacy to get that landfill removed. I attended community meetings at the Raymore City meetings, and then reached out to different senators across the state in order to get that project removed and protect the children of Summit Point Elementary School. Thank you.
Hi, so as I already mentioned in my introduction, I am a member of the PTSA at Bernard Campbell Middle School. And my kids have been at Mason Elementary and Bernard Campbell since we have been at the district, as well as the online academy. All three, I don't want to say buildings, but all three places have been amazing. And our family is all in on public education. So we volunteer, we chaperone, we help out with their activities, whether it's archery or Scholar Bowl or field trips or that sort of thing. And as I already mentioned, I did get a chance to participate in the Parent Academy, and it was great to learn about everything from finance to human resources to facilities to curriculum. It was quite eye-opening what it takes to run a district of this size. So my family is all in, I'm all in, and we spend most of our time where our kids are, so.
My youngest graduated 3.5 years ago, going on 4 years ago from Lee Summit High School. I was really involved as a parent. We had soccer players, a cheerleader, cross-country runner, band. We were involved in all of that. We were the boosters, and I was a room mom. Since my son graduated, I haven't been, since all of my kids graduated, I haven't been involved in that capacity in the schools. I've been involved as a community member, following what happens in the district, as well as professionally, because I'm a teacher educator, placing students in the district at the early, mid, and final level field experience. And I've also been fortunate enough to participate in research that follows our graduates into the school, some of them being in Lee Summit. So I kind of get to hear the inside story of what first year and second year teaching looks like in the district.
I have been an active participant in the Citizens Advisory Committee, the Woodland Elementary PTA, the Lee Summit R7 School District Audit Committee, the Teacher of the Year Committee, the Lee Summit Economic Development Council Workforce Alliance, the Community Engagement Committee, and I am also one of the Missouri School Board Association delegates. I have also volunteered on the Lee Summit Youth Court Advisory Board, Woodland Elementary PTA, Missouri Valley Chapter Society of Nuclear Medicine, the Vista Del Verde Community Association. I served as treasurer. I'm an auxiliary member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 5789. And I've also been on the Falls Committee for St. Luke's East Hospital, and I am a Financial Peace University facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you all. Question 3. What is your role as a Board of Education member in addressing curriculum updates, additional services, staff needs, and improvements regarding students who are struggling readers? Michelle, you're first.
Thank you. So I have 2 answers for that. One is that the board has a very specific role, and that's to oversee the superintendent and the superintendent's staff, administration, who does all the things in that question, for those of you who are looking at the question. So approving budget items is also something that the board does. And so that would be the way that as a board member, I would support curriculum updates, additional services, staff needs, making sure that we're safeguarding the resources that we have today and that are slated in the district improvement plan, the CSIP, CSIP, making sure that we have funded and resourced with time and budget the things that need to be done to improve those things. It's not the role of the board to micromanage exactly what's done. We have to trust that our administration has the expertise needed.
So since I've been running for school board, I've had several people ask me what I would do about reading curriculum. I am not a literacy expert, and I know we have literacy experts in the district. I also know that the reason that question is being asked is because there is concern about reading scores. Reading scores haven't completely rebounded since the pandemic. Really not a shocker. A lot of things haven't completely rebounded since the pandemic, including absenteeism and things like that that relate to academics. So as a board member, my role would be to look to those experts that know about literacy, that understand what we call the science of reading, the large body of literacy that's out there that is guiding the decisions in the district. I've heard some really positive feedback, especially from parents of young kids that feel like great progress is being made with the literacy curriculum that is in place now, with a more of a focus on phonics, which is what the science of reading introduces.
Your time's up.
Thank you.
As a member of the Board of Education, we are responsible for hearing community concerns. And when we hear that there is a gap in our district and we are not meeting the needs of students, and to hear that dyslexic students are not able to get the instructional resources that they need to learn how to read, we can hold our superintendent accountable for that. We can work with him to work with his team to figure out how to best move forward so that we can address those students' needs. We have done that in the past few years, and you can see that our scores are improving, they are going up, and that is a collaborative team effort that does include the superintendent and includes the instructional team that reviews the curriculum and partners with the educators to make sure that they have the professional development to be able to make those changes so that we can help all of our learners.
Much like the board of directors for a corporation, we're in charge of picking the CEO. In this case, is the superintendent. We ensure we have a good superintendent that knows what we need in the district. We make sure that the results of that superintendent meet the needs of the community. The community elects us to be good stewards of the resources within the community, so we ensure that those resources are being leveraged to provide the best possible education to the students. So we have to not only approve the budgets, make sure that the budgets are being used to further the education of our students, but we also have to evaluate those results and make any course corrections as needed. Thank you.
Thank you all. Question 4. Recent estimates show a nearly $300 million shortfall in the foundation formula funding for Missouri public schools. Do you believe public funds should go to private schools, voucher programs, and what would you do regarding the shortfall from the state? Nikki, you're first.
Anyone who's talked to me about this is probably saying, please don't let her talk half an hour. I feel really
Got 1 minute.
I feel really strongly that public funds should go to public schools. Public funds are provided for the community, by the community. They belong in public schools only. As far as what we do about a shortfall that large, I think that takes a lot of input, a lot of deliberation. We are fortunately a district with a lot of resources, but a shortfall like that is going to hurt in a lot of areas. And I think, again, we have to look at our priorities and re-examine, possibly reprioritize, right? It could be a triage situation. What absolutely has to be paid for, what can wait, what can be diminished, what can we stretch? I really hope we're not in that situation. But I do think that is something where a very involved board is going to have to be working closely with leadership. I believe that public funds should go to public schools. Public funds should not go to schools that do not have to be held accountable to the same measures as public educational systems. Also in that, although the state of the state from the governor indicated that $300 million shortfall, there is still an opportunity to advocate with your legislators that actually will control the budget to fully fund the foundation formula and re-examine the ways that our schools are being paid. And I highly encourage all of you to get involved and let them know that we should be fully funding education. Thank you.
proponent for public education and the recipient of a public education, and all my daughters are getting a public education. I fully believe that we should be coming together as a community to pull all our resources together to create the best possible school system that we can for our children. And I hope that we don't have a shortfall, but if we do, we have to look at tightening the belt, look at where we're spending our money, where we're getting our returns on our money, and figuring out where the priorities lie and putting that money in order to achieve the educational outcomes that all of our students deserve in this district. Thank you.
We do need to keep public funds supporting our community. And that means building a strong public education system. So public funds, whether it's from the state or whether it's a specific federal program, or if it's from the bonds that you know about and are on the April 8th ballot, and also any tax levies or Proposition C rollback, which would be a tax. All of those funds need to support public education because public education offers services for every single student in this community, and a healthy community needs a healthy school district. So if there's a shortfall, we do need to be advocating on behalf of the district as board members and as citizens to make sure that education is funded. And we need to look for ways to pay for the most important thing that our students need.
Question 5, what do you hope to accomplish during your tenure on the Board of Education?
During my time on the Board of Education, I hope to continue the progress that we have made for literacy supports for all of our students. I also hope to support a continued work in developing a curriculum system that is coordinated amongst all of our educators so that people do not have to reinvent the wheel and that they have all the resources that they need at their hand. Curriculum alignment can help students also so that if they transfer between schools in the district, we can be in a similar scope and sequence so that students do not get behind if they have to transfer due to many life circumstances. I also believe that we need to continue to look at our financial accounting and transparency. We've had the Jackson County property tax debacle that has made a big hit on many of our taxpayers. And we need to take that into consideration when we look at how we are making our requests for funding, because we want to show that we are responsible to the taxpayers. And if we are coming to them asking for additional funds for our education, it is because we are making wise decisions and we are showing that we really need this money to support our staff.
So I would like to accomplish an improvement in our college readiness score of our graduates coming out of the district to above a 50% college readiness. I would like to reduce the amount of division that we see on the school board currently and more cooperation and teamwork on the school board. I'd like everybody to meet in the middle and remove the politics from our educational system. I want to see our students' success increase in both early literacy as well. I want to see that's about it. Thank you.
I want to see a couple things. I don't have an agenda. I've had a number of people say, well, what are your top 3 things you want to get done? Just like this question says. And I don't have a personal hit list. I specifically want to safeguard and support the programs that are already ongoing. There was a lot of work and effort put into the district improvement plan for 2024 through 2027. And as a board member, I would support the district executing that plan. And they put flexibility into the plan so that anything they do in year 1, that they learn something new about and say, well, that approach didn't quite work. They've got flexibility in year 2 and year 3 to make changes. And I think that the group that came together to put together that plan did a great job. Is it perfect? No. Is it all going to be accomplished 100% perfectly? No. But I think we can do it.
In my tenure on the board, I agree. I don't have personal goals. I don't have things I feel like I'm going to be able to accomplish on my own, but rather as part of a group of 7. I agree that politics have no room on the board. I intend to only bring in expertise of education and a heart for kids and teachers that support them. So the things I would want to support are the things that are delineated on the school improvement plan. But the things I want to be good at on the board include really helping to improve communication in all forms. And that's not to say there's a deficit, but in a large district, it's hard to communicate with everybody. I would want to help with that. I would want to also play a big part in advocating. I think that now more than ever, we need advocates at the state and national level. That is something I've done in my profession in the past, and it's something that's more important now than ever. And I want to continue to support teachers and make sure we can attract and retain great ones.
Thank you.
All right, question 6, we're moving right along. Are you committed to advocating in support or in alignment of the Lee Summit R7 legislative platform? If you're not aware, the district and coordination with other districts in the greater Kansas City area offers a legislative platform that they all agree on and the board approves. So that's what the document we're referring to. It's on the Lee Summit R7 website if you're curious. How will you personally advocate to ensure our district's needs are being met at the state level? Leon, you're first.
So yes, I would advocate for the LSR7 legislative platform in the respect of the legislation initiatives that I feel is best for our community. I would advocate by contacting state representatives, senators, and making sure that they know where we stand as a district and what would benefit our students. And that would be basically all you could do as a board member. Thank you.
The district focuses their legislative platform on success of the district, benefit to the district, success of the students. And in looking at it, it clearly looks to me like a lot of thought was put into it. And as a board member, the board approves that platform, as Melanie said. So as a board member, I would look closely at it, make sure it aligns with the mission of the district, and approve it, each year. And I do follow if you're not already receiving it, there is an email that goes out that gives legislation advocacy, talking points, updates, things like that. It is so interesting. And I found myself on, I think it's Mondays that it comes out, going down rabbit holes, learning about the different House bills and Senate bills. So I would support it in that way, to make sure that it aligns with the mission of the district.
I am committed to advocating in support of the LSR7 legislative platform. There's several priorities on that platform that are actually near and dear to my heart. It does address support of public schools and being anti-voucher, just so you know. And that is something I think there's something like 7 bills right now working their way through the House and Senate in Missouri that seek to defray public funding and provide funding to private schools, private religious schools, and homeschool situations, as well as providing open enrollment, the ability to cross from district to district in a way that we haven't seen before. All of those things really are threats to our ability to maintain excellence within the district. Our resources should be kept in the district for our public schools, and something I can do to support this legislative platform, again, is advocate.
I support advocating for the LSR7 legislative platform. I have personally advocated both at the federal level and at the state level. At the federal level, I have advocated for fully funding IDEA. As many may know, that is something that has been woefully unfunded for a long time, and that is the funding that supports our students that need the most. At the state level, I have advocated for funding the foundation formula and reevaluating the way that the foundation formula is calculated, for opposing bills that are harmful to public education, And then many of you are familiar with the sports betting that was on the ballot in November. And I have advocated personally to many state legislators that we need to take that money that we do get from that funding to be added to the state formula instead of be put in the state formula. Because as we know from the former lottery situation, it was a shell game. Thank you.
There has been considerable discussion from a variety of angles regarding the proposal to combine Westview Elementary and Lee Summit Elementary. How can the district be fiscally responsible and address schools with declining enrollment while showing grace to those who might be impacted? Michelle, you're up first.
Well, that's a topic that I get to start with. Let's talk about it then. So I think anyone who's been following it can agree that maybe communication from the district was not handled well. And I think the district recognizes that and acknowledges that. And the additional time that's going to be spent listening to community members, hopefully will help the district to kind of come around and look at all information when assessing what to do in this situation. I have to say that I'm not close enough to it to say what the best decision is, but I do know that both of those schools are Title I schools, and I think that those students should be at the center of the decision, making sure that the Westview students and the Lee Summit Elementary students are getting the resources they need so that they can learn, and then they can come out of those schools and move on to their next middle school, confident in their academics.
So this is a really emotional issue in our community right now, and rightfully so. People who have children who may be looking at having a different home school in the future, that becomes a very emotional thing. I do think that the district has acknowledged that maybe some of the communication wasn't great, and there were people who felt they weren't being heard. And so a step has been taken back to allow more time for everyone to be heard, especially those most closely impacted, at least in that elementary and Westview. I think it's important to get all the information without rushing. I think it's going to have to be a process that plays out. And I hope that everyone involved really looks at both the short and long-term impact of whatever decision is made.
Thank you. I was involved with the resolution that was added to the agenda so that we could pause this decision to get community engagement. Community engagement is very important in such a big decision of which our district has not yet seen before. We have developed committees and PRATs, which are task forces that will be able to review and address this issue because we need to figure out not only the financial implications of such a decision, but the impact that will have on our students. Are these students really better off if we combine them into one school? That is something that takes some time to evaluate. Also, if you think about finances, we do need to consider what is going to happen to the building. Should the two buildings merge together? Because if you want to talk about saving money in any kind of way, what would happen to the old building? That plays a significant part, and that is a building that's very near and dear to this community.
I do know a decision needs to be made, and I say we need to give the resources that our most vulnerable students in our district need to achieve what they need to achieve. I heard the community, I went to the PTA meeting, and I saw the reaction. These kids want to stay in their school, and it means a lot to them. And I was one of those kids that walked to school, and I needed a school close to me because I didn't have parents there to take me to that school. So I think our district has a very large budget, and the district never once blinked an eye revamping the wealthy, affluent suburban schools first. I think we need to go to the heart of the city, and we need to take care of these kids first. These are our Title I kids. They need the most resources, and we need to give them to them. There's no question in my mind. We have a large budget. We need to make it happen. Thank you.
What is your philosophy on social emotional learning in our schools? Nikki, you're first.
my philosophy on social and emotional learning in our schools. I'm an educational psychologist, so I'm 100% for social emotional learning in our schools. Kind of a big deal. Social emotional learning, I think, is one of those things that's become a political buzzword in a bad way because people don't understand what it is. It's been in our school for decades. It literally is teaching kids to be nice people. That's all it is. If you teach your kids to have manners and be polite and take turns and not use racial slurs and be respectful of their peers and the adults that they work with, then you've been engaging in social emotional learning this whole time. You may not have known it because it's just called like good parenting, right? Teachers engage in it all the time as well. Some kids don't come to school as ready to be socially successful as others, and some of them need more of that. Part of the job of public school is to create productive future citizens, right? And that means getting along with all kinds of people and being, whatever word you want to use, tolerant. It's very important.
I was right there, ready to cut you off.
So learning how to interact with your peers, learning to have self-esteem, learning how you present yourself to others. These are all things that students will learn every day in their environment, and they're also taught by their teachers every day. Teachers incorporate this into their lessons. Teachers have, for the longest time, incorporated that, you know, when you're in kindergarten, you're going to learn how to raise your hand. You're going to learn how to sit quietly. You're going to learn how to take turns and not interrupt. Those are elements that have been implemented in our district and in education for a long time. One of the questions has often been, though, if standalone lessons for older students are really effective, and there have been many studies that have shown they are not. We need to focus on when it is most effective and how to relate to students in a way that teaches them to communicate with others with respect. And your time is up. Thank you.
So social emotional learning has been around since the beginning of time. It's how humans acclimate to community. So it's just natural to have it in our educational system. The emphasis on which you place it and how you roll it and how you let it affect your policies, I believe, is the difference. So students, we need to take it into consideration that all students learn differently. And so knowing their cultural backgrounds and the way they behave, you can tailor your approach to those students and get through to them easier if you use social emotional learning techniques. But we have to evaluate how we're using that as a tool and how we're leveraging it and how it affects the overall broad width of the students in our district. Thank you.
I think I've already mentioned this once or twice, but the mission of the district, which is right above the dais over where the school board sits, is that we prepare each student for success in life. And as you've already heard from the other three candidates, success in life is not just academics. The whole student shows up in a classroom every day to learn, and the whole student needs to learn. So is it social emotional learning? Is it a buzzword? Is it baggage? Is it whatever? No, it's part of who the student is. And if they want to be successful in life, they don't just need their academic success, which is critical, but they need their whole self to be successful and confident going to the next level of whether it's education, career, military, moving up.
Thank you all.
What role should the community play in supporting the education of children? Jennifer.
There are so many ways that the community can be involved in supporting the education of our children. First of all, paying your personal property taxes. That is the way that you are funding the education of our students, and I thank you for that. We have many opportunities to volunteer in the district. We have many opportunities for you to provide feedback and engage in the district. And it's something that is often overlooked, the value of community stakeholders that don't personally have children in the district, how you can impact the education of our students. Business owners If you're in this room, I would encourage you to reach out to the district because we have the opportunity for internships. We can bring students to you and improve your talent pipeline. And in return, you can learn about the wonderful programs that we have in our district. We have a phenomenal Summit Technology Academy that is preparing students for some amazing careers. And the more that we can partner with the community, the better the results will be. Thank you.
So I'm a firm believer it takes a village, and so all of the community can play a role in the school district through joining your PTA, fundraising, volunteering your time. We need bus drivers and substitute teachers, so if you're qualified to do those positions, you can step up and do those in your free time. I know personally, I've gone out and I've spoke to students about careers in STEM education. I currently work in STEM education, and I have a degree that is a technical trade school certificate that allowed me to work within that STEM field. And I educate children on opportunities just outside of the traditional four-year college lane where they can actually obtain a rewarding career in a short amount of time with the resources that are already in our community. And we have companies like Honeywell that are hiring those people in at great wages and salaries. So I just try to make awareness in the community and advocate for that. Thank you.
There are so many different ways that the Lee Summit, Cass County, Kansas City community supports this district. I could go on and on. I love to celebrate this district every chance I get. There are so many parents, community members, business partnerships. I mean, you name it, it's amazing. And I only have 40 more seconds, so I won't. But I can say that one of the things that you can do this quarter is to vote. You need to vote on who is on your school board. You need to vote yes on bonds. There's a no tax increase bond coming up that's going to help improve our facilities and do important infrastructure work. And when the opportunity arises, voting yes to support other tax levies and items like the Proposition C rollback so that we can improve staff salaries because the staff is closest to the work.
I agree with everything Michelle just said. There's so many ways the community can support our schools. The schools are one of the reasons that Lee Summit is what Lee Summit is. We are very family oriented. We are very kid oriented. My husband and I, when we first had kids in high school, we were blown away with the number of choices and opportunities that our kids got to make. We felt like we had to be educated in all of those choices. So ways that the community can partner, even if you don't have kids in school, I understand you can join PTA. I've heard that tonight. Also,
I didn't dare to say it. I didn't.
Also, voting is so important. The April 8th election doesn't generally get super high numbers. It's the school board and it's the bonds. That's a way you can support your schools. Get people on the school board that will support public schools, support the bond, and if Prop C makes it to the August ballot, vote yes on that as well.
All right, we made it halfway through and we're rocking and rolling. Question 10, there seems to be some confusion regarding recent actions demands surrounding diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and what constitutes diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in a K through 12 setting. Can you provide specific examples of things in LSR 7 that would be eliminated due to this order, and would you support this elimination? Leon, you're first.
Okay, so I believe the executive order that it's referencing eliminates the any discriminatory policies within DEI. So any policies that are race-based, so to speak. So going through and then it does not allow for any consulting with DEI contracts of nature. So I believe there's probably some professional development contracts within LSR 7 that would not be allowed. But as far as specific policies within LSR 7 that be eliminated, that wouldn't really be on me as a board member to decide. It'd be the legal counsel going through current policies, seeing how they relate to this executive order and figuring out which ones are in compliance and which ones aren't. So I would not support a broad sweep of eliminating every policy that may have came out of DEI. I believe there's, some good policies on getting a diverse subset of students and making sure they have the resources they need, making sure all students are included and feel like they're accepted and welcomed into our school district. And so just any of those policies, I believe that they would deem to be discriminatory based on the federal guidance.
If you're looking for something fun to read in the evening, you can read the CSIP plan, which is all of the goals for the district. It's a fabulous plan, and I don't mean to make fun of it, but it's long. And when you look down into the specific line items of things, the strategies that we are taking in 2024, 2025, all the way through 2027, for goal number 1 and goal number 2, those items are all things that if you were to read them, you would say, yes, we should spend money and resources and time on improving those things. You wouldn't attach an acronym to it and say, that's DEIB. You would say, that's good for students. We should do that. And so sorting out something that's coming from Washington, D.C. and may not even apply to us is not something that everyone should worry about.
This is another thing that has become highly politicized in a very unfair way. Just like SEL has been turned into a little acronym that a lot of people don't even know what it means or what it might look like in schools. DEIB means diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And so much of what we do in schools furthers those goals. We have many, many different kinds of students, and that includes every type of diversity you can think of, way beyond race, socioeconomic status, religious background, ethnicity, immigration status, whatever it may be. It also does include kids that have exceptionalities. Special education is the OG of DEI. It always has. It is a platform that allows us to really focus on individual kids and their needs. It's been expanded out in its definition, but that is still what it means, is serving every single kid and what they need.
Okay.
So currently, clarity needs to be provided by those that are wanting to have items removed when they say they want to ban DEI. This guidance should come from the U.S. Department of Education, which then should trickle down to the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which then should go to the Missouri School Board Association. Missouri School Board Association writes many of our policies. So once they have received the guidance, if there is anything that needs to be changed, they would be able to send that to all the districts in the state of Missouri so that we can make sure that we are all compliant with federal law. Thank you.
We have wonderful district assets like Sub Technology Academy, where we are tonight, and early college programming with metropolitan community colleges in our district. These opportunities are usually only open to the highest achievers or high achievers. What are we doing, or what can we do to provide middle to lower performing students with training and apprenticeship programs to meet their educational needs? Michelle.
That's a fascinating question in terms of how it's worded, because I think that the district administration is very aware of this gap, because when I talk to teachers and leaders who are involved in these amazing programs, they talk about how to get the word out to every student and how to prepare every student for that career or opportunity or training program that they want to get into. And the counselors at the middle school level are talking to the kids about it. There's so many. I think that's the challenge. I think we just have so many choices, and we have so many kids. We have that talking to each one about, okay, what do you want to do? All right, what classes? How do you need? Do you need to improve your math scores? Do you need to do this? Do you need to do that? And working with each kid, I think they're working on improving that, and I'm looking forward to broader access to those programs.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Anytime you're trying to identify kids that are likely to succeed in an area, you're going to run into bumps. Look at the problems we still have in identifying kids who are likely to be successful in college. Does anyone in here really think the ACT or the SAT score does a great job of predicting that? So we really have a hard time identifying those things. I think one great thing about this district is this district does recognize that we need to do a better job of identifying more kids that may work out great in different programs. Sometimes kids aren't at the level of readiness. If you're looking for like a test score or some kind of admission criteria, it doesn't mean they won't be very successful once they get started. I know that the current leadership in the district has done a really good job of revamping the criteria used to identify kids for the gifted program, and actually has identified or increased identification of kids for the gifted program from like 4 to 8%, which is a phenomenal rise. Is up.
Okay, to address this concern, we need to communicate opportunities with students, but we also need to collaborate and communicate these opportunities with parents. Oftentimes, parents can help be the encourager and the supporter of the students if they know those opportunities are available. But I'm sure you've seen teenagers that you ask, well, how was your day? What'd you learn today? What's going on? And they're just like, oh yeah, fine, great. And they don't really share a lot of information. So having the district communicate some of these opportunities directly to parents can help get them involved so they can encourage their students. Also increasing partnerships and internships available. I'm excited about the LSEDC rebooting and really focusing on how to collaborate with the Lee Summit R7 school district. If we have more opportunities, that's more opportunity for students that would maybe have not been selected previously to be able to get involved in trades and different businesses and things like that. Also, we have the AVID program, which helps prepare students for these opportunities, and they focus on not the highest achievers. Thank you.
So I experienced this myself with my oldest daughter. She wanted to take college classes early and get into the Student Teaching Academy, and she needed a certain GPA. So me and my wife worked with her to get her GPA level up to that level. I believe we should be more focused and have policies where we identify students who have certain trade areas or educational requirements that they want to pursue in certain career fields. Identify those and create development plans, and have a teaching advisor work through them with those development plans and create goals to get them to the area they need to get into those programs. And then reevaluate what programs we're offering to make sure we have programs that are ideally geared toward those middle achieving and lower achieving students, and that align with what their goals and interests are and their educational outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you all. Question 12. How do you plan to ensure that professional development opportunities are aligned with the needs of teachers and the goals of raising student achievement? Nikki.
Well, again, we have a district that has mapped out a clear improvement plan, a very comprehensive plan, and I think collects a ton of data by which we can really investigate where there may be gaps or need for professional development in terms of like our reading scores, right? That's been addressed. That was identified. That professional development has been in an ongoing way offered. Changes have been made, right? So I think the role of the board is to help identify where those needs and gaps may be, along with teachers, parents, data provided, and leadership to know where that professional development should be aligned. Also, professional development is not the needs are gonna vary, right, from level to level. Professional development needs in elementary school may not be the same as professional development needs in middle school or high school. We go through phases in education where even content areas change. So really being in close communication with all stakeholders.
Professional development is something that our district has done really well. We have a great department that is focused on that for our educators. And we often receive just incredible feedback from them that they find the development that they receive to be highly valuable. I know that the department is responsive to the needs of teachers, and they evaluate raising student achievement as part of their plan. So they're constantly looking at what do the teachers need to be able to do their job well, and they customize their education in that regard. Thank you.
I think LSR 7 has a great resource because we have so many tenured, wonderful educators in the district that know what these newer teachers need to develop and be successful in the district. So we could grow our own professional development, so to speak. We could actually leverage our resources within the district to help develop our own professional development opportunities. We do this in private industry where we have more senior, latent career individuals mentor early in career individuals and provide professional development. And then it saves the district both in cost and also empowers the teachers that are at the top levels to reach out to the teachers that are coming in. Thank you.
So I am not an expert in professional development for teachers, but I am an expert in understanding how to align goals. And so we align from the mission of the district to the board priorities, to the CSIP, to the plans that the administration is going to implement to meet those goals. And what I would look for as a board member is that alignment, as mentioned in the question, and I would look to see that they have input from educators and from experts in the field. And if I see that alignment and I see those pieces being weighed in and saying, okay, we got educator input, which by the way, they do get educator input on these things, then I would, as a board member, support the plans.
Thank you all. Question 13. Bullying incidents and student discipline issues in general have increased in schools across the country, especially after the pandemic. What would you tell patrons is a possible cause, and how would you work with other board members to address the issue with the superintendent? Jennifer.
There are so many things that can contribute to potential causes for this. We've seen an increase in bullying associated with social media, the rise of social media, the rise of the use of cell phones. There's the isolation that came from the pandemic. There are so many things that it's hard to narrow down and precisely identify one thing that you can say is the cause for these issues that we have been having. But how the board is addressing it is right now, we have establish a PAT. So it's a process review action team, like a task force that is evaluating these safety occurrences that are happening within the district and evaluating how can we handle these, how can we navigate these situations so that we support our students and we support our educators so that everyone can be in a safe environment where they are safe to learn, free of distraction, while also looking at how to prevent those instances from happening again in the future. Thank you.
So when it comes to discipline, I found as a parent, consistency is your best friend. So we need to have consistency in our discipline policies. And so if we have standard operating policies for when a student has behaviors that aren't conducive to the educational environment, the teacher then, identifies those issues, brings it to the administration, and then there's a clear path for the administration to take action. And the student knows what those repercussions are going to be for those actions. Because if the student doesn't understand the repercussions for their actions, they're not going to evaluate what they should and shouldn't be doing. And so just having a clear, consistent policy across the district that's applied in the same manner from school to school. And then it would give students and teachers both clear expectations on how our policies work around behavior and behavior expectations.
So as I've already mentioned, I have 2 kids in middle school. And so I get to hear all the stories. And so I would look to the folks who are closest to the work. That's the students themselves and the building staff, the educators, the personnel who are dealing one-on-one with these kids. And when I talk to them, what I'm hearing is the need for the question that we all got several minutes ago about social emotional learning. There are mental health challenges in this country, not just in the Lee Summit district. There are big challenges that we're still recovering from the pandemic. There are a lot of issues going on. And so how do we help those teachers and staff members help those kids to regulate and be prepared for learning and not be a distraction? That's where we need to focus.
I know that immediately after the pandemic, when everyone came back to school, it was like everyone had forgotten how to be around other people. And that included the young children all the way up through high schoolers. And there was, if you're gonna graph it out, we were hitting a lot of peaks, right? In behaviors and fights. I know the district did take a lot of actions to address all of that. I know that in the last year, number of fights decreased by 23%. So that's pretty significant. They have taken a lot of measures. Again, as an educational psychologist, I definitely think we have to look at the cause of a child who has ongoing behaviors, right? Ongoing difficult behaviors, aggressive behaviors, withdrawing behaviors. We have to look at possible mental health issues. We have to do, make sure that we have good resources for those things in our district, both for students and for teachers, as well as addressing kids who come in with trauma from home.
Well, everyone got to answer, right? Had a moment. Okay, thanks. But they're doing so good. And I'm a little remiss not to say, we did work really hard to source questions from the community. We did have over, I want to say 40 responses, 40 questions, I would say, submitted. So we worked to make them topical, and we did try to incorporate questions from each person that submitted a question. So question 14, have you ever been on a PTA or PTSA board, which is Parent Teacher Association, Parent Teacher Student Association board? Yes or no? What do you think the role of the PTA, PTSA is in our schools, Leon?
So no, I've never been on a PTA or PTSA board, but I do think that the role of PTA in our schools is a valuable role. Getting parents and teachers involved in the education of our students and collaborating is going to raise the academic achievement of those students. There's several studies show whenever parents take an active role in their child's education and advocate for their child's education, that the achievement goes up dramatically. So I encourage all parents to be active in their child's education. And the PTA does a wonderful job of creating these opportunities for parents to become involved in the education of their children.
Have I been on a PTA or PTSA board? No. Have I been an active participant in PTA activities and volunteer work and fundraising? Absolutely. And I think that the current role that I see is amazing. We're especially that we have PTSAs in our district. I think that's amazing because we're teaming the teachers with the parents, with the students, and all getting involved. And you know, one of my favorite examples is the program they have at Bernard Campbell, where the students put on the halls for the kids to walk through at Halloween, and then the parents and teachers put on the trunk or treat, and kids have a blast, and it's this big team effort, and everyone has a great time. So I think the role can be bigger if we had more volunteers. So everybody sign up. So the more people we have, the more we can do.
I feel like everyone's gonna join PTA now. I have not been on a PTA or a PTSA board in the past. Rather than be redundant in anything I say, I would say the biggest thing that PTA and PTSA do is really create that sense of community in a school. Even when we hear from national sources and local sources that public education is failing, which it's not, we need to remember that people, if you ask them individually if they love their kid's school, they will almost always say yes. They love their kids' school. They love their kids' teachers. They feel that sense of community, and PTSA and PTA is something that really promotes that sense of community. Make sure everyone is involved and knows what's going on in the school and feels like they belong.
While I have not been on a PTA or PTASA board, I have participated in the PTA. There have been many events like fundraising, just supportive fun events, class parties for students, and also encouragement and support for staff. I think that's one thing that just doesn't get highlighted enough. The work that the PTA does to encourage our educators and other staff in the buildings, whether it's bringing in some treats or beverages or just sunshine notes, all that kind of stuff really does brighten the day for our staff, and that's something that should be celebrated that comes from the PTA. Oh, by the way, you can sign up to volunteer, just throwing it out there. Thanks.
This one's a quick one. By a show of hands only, do you support the 2025 bond project? So there's a no tax increase bond that'll be on the April 8th ballot. We've got more information at the end. There's more information on the website, but I'd love to hear from all of you. If you plan to vote yes on the bond, raise your hand. If you plan to vote yes, all right, that's an easy one. Thank you. Hold you to it. Question 16. Can you explain what a future-ready learning space is and whether or not the concept should apply across the board without taking individual school population community needs into account? Michelle.
I am aware of future-ready learning spaces because my daughter was fortunate enough to come into Mason Elementary after the renovation and got to see the amazing building that she got to go to school in and talk to the teachers about it and how it's working with them. I do believe that we're a very fortunate district in being able to have a budget such as in the bond that we're all going to vote yes for, to work on our infrastructure and our facilities. However, we always need to make sure that anything that we're going to put a lot of money into, that it's something that is not just future ready, but is going to withstand the test of time and is going to work for the teachers and the students longer than a hot minute. You know, we don't need the latest gadgets. We need something that's going to work to help influence learning.
We were just talking about this last night. I think these ideas are always super exciting when it comes to modifying physical space and bringing them up to date. I can tell you as a survivor of higher education that a lot of times when we make, there's no higher ed people here, so sorry. We make decisions in higher education where we get really excited about those physical changes, changing the facilities. For example, for a while we did these really fancy classrooms that had computers under the glass desktop. Guess what? Those are completely obsolete now. Everyone brings their own devices. So I think they're exciting, but I think that you have to be cautious in making a fiscal commitment to doing, say, every building. I think that would be risky. You'd want to maybe pilot something like that and see what the response was and be accountable for the results before you make further decisions.
I think the district does a great job at looking at the populations and taking that into account when designing the spaces for the future ready learning. There are different things that come into play, including the heights of the desks, the motion of the chairs. If you've ever seen anybody that maybe likes to rock or bounce, you know, they now have chairs that are available to accommodate those students that just need a little bit of a kinesthetic motion when they're learning. They also have spaces that are intentionally designed to have a smaller group collaboration where you have a smaller desk and chairs around so that students are facing each other, similar to when adults in the workforce are collaborating on a project. So it's not all the standard desks in a row facing an educator that's lecturing at the front of the room. And those are incredible opportunities for our students.
So
future-ready spaces are a great thing to have. It looks nice, it's cool, everybody loves it, but we need to take into account the needs of the communities and the individuals. Maybe we can't afford to put a future-ready space in every school, but maybe it doesn't make a difference. To quote a brave young man at a PTA meeting, you guys keep talking about buildings, but what about the people? We need to talk about the people, so, you know, LSD needs to stay open. If we can't afford to put a future-ready learning space in that school, so be it. But we need to keep that school open. We need to keep that resource to those kids. So that's my thoughts.
The board is audited every single year and receives a board report and the full audit findings in a regularly scheduled meeting open to the public. All financial data is shared on the district website, including the Secretary of Board's report to DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which is a comprehensive and detailed look at all revenues and expenditures. Yet, many community members have shared that they believe there's a lack of financial transparency. How can a board member share our work to ensure the community is confident in our financial practices and the stewardship of tax dollars? This is kind of a long one, so I'm gonna set a timer on my phone for 1 minute, 30 seconds, since we're doing okay on time, so I'm just saying that to the crowd.
What this comes down to really is a communication question again. Again, as a district this size, communication can be difficult, especially with the number of sources of information that we have now. I know at one point I was a parent with kids in elementary school, middle school, and high school across 3 buildings with I don't know how many specific teachers that I may need to reach out to, coaches, right? After school activities going on. There's a lot of different resources and sources of information, and sometimes wires get crossed. Also, I think people get a little bit exhausted with accessing information, even though it's right there. Something I mentioned earlier is I am an educator. I like to talk to people, not really a room this size, but I like to talk to people individually. And I think one role of the board is to make sure that all stakeholders are getting the information. I know that is also something the district is working on, is having one centralized location for information. But I think it's just an ongoing struggle that you really want to be able to communicate that to everybody.
The audit for LSR 7 focuses on compliance, so that's probably not the best source of information if you're looking to see where our district is spending different amounts of money. You can go into board docs and you can download PDFs, but if you've ever tried to work with a PDF, it's not the easiest thing to do when you're searching for different numbers. However, it is all publicly available. If we're talking about financial transparency, one thing that I think we could do better at addressing is when we discontinue programs. So we often see the board meetings, we see all the new contracts, all the new programs, new resources, new staff members that are being added, but you don't often hear the district say, hey, we tried this math program and it didn't work. Test scores did not go up, so we did not continue it. Those usually just fall off without people discussing it. So that is an opportunity that I think that we have to improve, is not only talking about new things that we're doing, but what did we try that just didn't work that we're going to discontinue? Thank you.
So how can a board member share work to ensure the community is confident in our financial practices and stewardship of tax dollars? So when I make an investment in a mutual fund, they send me quarterly reports, yearly reports. It's got pie charts, with percentages, what's my return on investment. I think we need to do that as a district. We need to send every taxpayer a report. We can put pie charts, you put itemized expenditures, but no one's going to go on board docs and look up these expenditures. It's not going to be a part of their day-to-day routine. If they get a nice color printout in the mail with a pie chart and hey, here's where we put your money, then they'll know, they'll be informed, and they can make informed decisions in the ballot box. So that's just one quick and easy way to give the receipts to basically our customers, because every community member is a customer of ours. They're sending us their money. We need to be good stewards of that money, and we need to show them what they're getting for that money. Thank you.
I fully support transparency, absolutely, especially because it is state money, it is tax money, it is, and it's our district, and we want to know what we're spending on it. It is available, but it can be overwhelming, and it can be a lot. One thing I'll tell on myself here, when I started learning more and more about the district in these past several years, and I would watch the board meetings on YouTube, and I asked myself, like, how do they know that, or what, or where did they get that? So I would email someone, either someone on the board or Linda Ismer or someone I knew in the district and say, where can I get the numbers? And every single time they would point me to the website. It was all there. It's just, there's so much. And interpreting it is the challenge. Like understanding it is the challenge. And so if I were elected to the board and community members would be coming to me and saying, I'm really concerned about fiscal responsibility and where are we spending our money on such and such, I would want to get to the heart of the question. Why are you asking? What are you concerned about? Okay, now let me show you what you need to know and get to the heart of their concerns.
Thank you all. Even with extra time, most of you still came in a minute, so you really got this down. You got to figure it out. What's one accomplishment or initiative in Lead Summit R7 that you are most proud of, and why do you think it stands out? Jennifer.
I'm going to go back to partnering with parents of struggling readers and members of our community to enhance our literacy offerings so that we can make sure that every student has the ability to read. Literacy is so important. It is a foundation of education, and that is something that I just cannot talk enough about, how wonderful it is that we have phonics now. We are seeing test scores go up, and educators are loving this curriculum. The PD has been successful, and it's just really amazing to be able to champion that and to show that now we just got the top APR score in Jackson County, and how much of that is reflected from that. So that is one thing that I will just continue to champion, is the fact that we have made such incredible progress in literacy in just a short amount of time. And I'm encouraged to see that as we look at other initiatives, what can we really do when we focus on a specific topic that can benefit all of our students. Thank you.
I think one of the initiatives that stands out to me that I would be most proud of, I think stands out, is one that has personally affected me, which is the Grow Your Own program that LSR7 instituted. I think it's wonderful that a community is willing to invest in their own students and develop their own resources and become basically a self-reliant educational system where we're teaching the next future great educators of our own district. So that's mine. Thank you, guys.
Well, I'm glad we're limited to a minute because there's so many things I love about our district. But I do love something we've already talked about, so I won't spend time on it, and that's the career programs and the training programs and those sort of things. I think that's an incredible aspect of LSR7 that not every district has. And I love that. And so I will point out one thing that I just learned about in the last few months, several months, is that they've incorporated into these career programs and training programs, this real world readiness type of education where you can learn actual skills that are going to help you in your career. And I can't wait to see the results of that as the kids go on and as students go on and become adults in their careers and their academics.
I think the most amazing thing I've actually seen is how the district actually rebuilt LSHS with the kids in it. That was amazing. And I'm sorry to the teachers from LSHS because I know it wasn't easy, but it was truly amazing that they just kept things going that whole time. The accomplishment of the district that I think is that I'm most proud of is the partnership that brought this building. The partnership between a pre-K-12 district and higher education that allows the kind of labs that we have here, the programs for career readiness, future aerospace hangar, those kinds of things. This partnership was one of the first of its kind, maybe the first of its kind in the nation. It's pretty innovative, and I think that says a lot for the types of thing LSR 7 is willing to look at.
Awesome. All right, we have one final question. We're gonna go over by just a couple minutes, so thank you all. Understanding that a board member serves every one of the almost 18,000 students, families, staff, and community, which may have different priorities, political leanings, faiths, and opinions. How do you plan to best represent everyone? Leon?
The best way to represent everyone is to keep an open mind and keep open ears. Listen to your community, listen to their concerns, what affects them, what their goals and their hopes and their dreams are, and what they want for their children, and take that into account and be willing to work across both sides on the board as a team to get the policies in place that help all children in our district. Ensure that everyone's represented equally and don't allow politics and personal beliefs to get in the way of making that happen. And that's how I would do it.
We have a school board of 7 members. 7 members who should not be a monolith in terms of the way they approach their role on the board. There should be 7 different perspectives. However, all of those perspectives should all be looking toward the same goal as the other 6 board members. And that is the success of our district and the success of our students. And that should always be at the center of every decision, every discussion, every debate between the 7 board members. And personal ideologies, personal agendas should all be left at the door. And an example I gave at a previous forum was, it was during the Chiefs playoff run, and there was a football game going on that day, and I said, look, there's a tailgate going on with 50,000 people and more, who probably all have different political beliefs, but they have one goal in mind, and that's for the Chiefs to win. And they do it. So.
I think when you're representing other people, you always have to put your personal beliefs aside. I'm a big believer in data. I'm a big believer in multiple sources of input. And I've been an administrator. I've been a department chair of a large department. I had to work with people I didn't really like. I had to evaluate people I didn't really like. And I was able to evaluate them, not very many, they're mostly nice. I was able to evaluate them based on their performance and what they gave to the students, not my personal feelings about them, right? And I think that's really important to be able to consider all stakeholders, get as much information input as you can when you're making a decision. Your opinion doesn't matter unless you can really back up that opinion.
As a board member, our educational policies should be ones that support all students for success in life. We have students from so many different cultures, from different ideologies, and that doesn't matter. When they walk in the door, they're here to learn, and we are going to treat each student with respect and dignity, and we are going to give them the education that they need. I will share something that many may not know about me is that my last 2 years of high school, I actually was living in a third world country. So I got to experience education in a totally different way. And our American system that we have is phenomenal, and people don't realize just how well run our district is and the opportunities that our students are provided to be able to think for themselves and learn how to decide what they want to do for their career with the support of our educators behind them.
Thank you all. I want to encourage everyone to vote on April 8th. Many of you may know that the municipal election where we will elect our Board of Education does fall over Lee Summit R7 spring break. There is a lot of information about voting and additional details at lsr7.org, so you can find out pertinent dates if you're going to be out of town during that time. All of that is listed there as well. Yes, we are, as the PTA, we support issues, and we are supportive of the no tax increase bond. Again, there's more information and some great materials with all the details at lsr7.org. I'd like to thank all of the candidates for attending and being a part of this. It's really important that we hear from you, so thank you. And to the group that took time out of their evening and maybe missed something else, I really appreciate it as well. If you guys have questions, we are able to stay in Mill in the room until 8:30 for those that do wish to do that. There's something else important I was gonna tell you, and I can't remember what it was. Well, yeah, join the PTA, of course, that's right. Oh, I know, it's the job fair. I saw the job fair crew. Job fair, if you can talk about the job fair, stand up. Sarah, Kim, Margie. If you are a business that would like to be a part of the job fair, or you know someone that we should contact, like, hey, have you talked to this person? Please take a minute and talk to Sarah. Sarah Sinks is our Lee Summit West PTSA president, and does a lot of amazing things and has teamed up with all of the high school PTAs to run that job fair. So we definitely want to make that a success. Thank you all and have a great night.
If you'd like to grab a water on your way out, feel free. We also have some snacks in the front for anyone who help us get rid of things. We don't want to take anything home.
Okay.